direction grandma's going in a conversation, you can usually predict where she's going to be. So you can figure out the stuff that didn't quite make sense or that she muffled or whatever. And so you kind of go with the flow. And it's like hearing a conversation made of cats, really. Oh, hey, it's August. It's Keith Explains time. Again, it's every month. I know for you people it's every week, but for me it's every month. Once a month we get to do Keith Explains, you know, in the studio. In real life, it's Keith Explains all the time around me. You know, pretty much I'm just yakking away, talking, and people are like gathered around like a crowd. Not really a crowd, like a gathering. You know, kind of like Jesus with his disciples, except I'm not the Lord, and I don't call them disciples. They're just the people that follow me around, like entourage. It's like I have an entourage that follows me around, you know, writing down every word I say for the holy book, or, well, we don't call it a holy book, we call it a book, and it's posted to the weblog. You can get the complete transcripts of Keith every day, generally. It's the previous day's transcripts are usually posted by about 11 a.m. or so, and the first round of scholars have gone through and annotated them by mid-afternoon, and then the discussion starts. It's really a fascinating process. It's kind of like Wikipedia, except it's a smaller community of people who are studying the many, many things I say and the impact that has on the global community. We've got a bunch of topics tonight. First topic we're going to talk about is Gilroy Garlic Festival. See, Loretta and I went to the Gilroy Garlic Festival for us a week ago. I mean, by the time you see this, it will have been like 2 or 3 months ago, and you'll be like, Gilroy Garlic Festival? Why is he talking about that? That's old news. And even for me, I guess it's old news because it's over. Like, the better time to talk about the Gilroy Garlic Festival would have been before I go. Like if I was a Gilroy Garlic Festival official, I would love people to be talking about the Gilroy Garlic Festival. And it's hard to say Gilroy Garlic Festival. Anyway, I'd want people talking about it like mid-July. Maybe early to mid-July, I'd want the TV filled with people talking about Gilroy Garlic Festival. Because that way you drum up interest, and people are like, hey, we could go to the Gilroy Garlic Festival. I think it's next weekend, isn't it? And people would make plans and be like, hey, let's go to Gilroy, which isn't something you hear very often. Because ordinarily, let's go to Gilroy means, well, it's going to be kind of boring. We'll go to Gilroy. They have farms, I think. I don't know what else they have in Gilroy. Well, they have Bonfante Gardens there. So if you're a parent of a child aged like 3 to 8, Bonfante Gardens is the place to be. And I get no kickback for saying that. I mean, I'm technically out money to the Bonfante Gardens people this year already because we bought season tickets to Paramount Great America, but we haven't yet gone there to turn them in and actually get the season ticket. So like, I just have 2 pieces of paper that are like, you've paid $70 a piece to have season tickets, and you can come to the photo booth between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and pick up your season tickets, but you haven't yet. So I'm out $140 and never been to either Paramount's Great America or the Bonfante Gardens, which these season tickets get you into. But if you've got a kid aged like 3 to 8, again, Bonfante Gardens is great. It's plants and little kid rides, and I think stands selling hot dogs. That's pretty much what's there. But it's great. It's like there are all kinds of parents around. They apparently love the place. Loretta and I have been there. It's nice. They have interesting trees. And I know what you're thinking. I don't want to eat. How interesting could a tree be? But they actually have some pretty interesting trees there, is the thing. They're like not the kind of trees you see at Home Depot. Like Home Depot trees pretty much have a box at the bottom with dirt, and then there's a pointy bit, and then there are leafy stuff at the top. Whereas at Bonfante, they have trees that have like 7 trunks at the bottom, and then in the middle it's like 37 trunks, and then at the top it's like 4, and you're like, how did they do that? And they have little placards that describe how they did it, and pretty much mostly it's people with too much time on their hands, or one guy with too much time on his hands, really, who spent like his entire life growing weird trees. And he was in that Ripley's Believe It or Not something, so I guess he got something out of it. Like I got nothing in Ripley's Believe It or Not. Like if you go to the Ripley Museum and you type Keith Statenfield into the little index, I don't come up at all. So in that sense, I am not Believe It or Not. Like I'm not. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't buy it. Anyway, I'm talking about Bonfante. That's not what we went to Gilroy for. We went to Gilroy for the Garlic Festival. And Garlic Festival, it's like on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like an art festival, but the theme is garlic, and it's a little bigger. And like every year in the paper, we'd read about this and be like, you got to go to the Gilroy Garlic Festival. It's down in Gilroy. It's huge. If you love garlic, you got to go. It's great. go early because the traffic's terrible. And so Loretta and I have never been. We've lived here like, I don't know, 17 years. I'd have to do the math in my head, and I'm not going to do the math in my head right now, although I think it's 17 years that we've lived in California and never been. And we probably didn't know about it the first couple of years because who pays attention to the paper like, you know, your first couple of years in an area? You're like, oh, there's a local newspaper? Wow. No, I probably had the paper. But anyway, I didn't really think about it. And then we were like, well, we should go to the Gilroy Garlic Festival. But we never got around to it. There was always something else we had that weekend, or I'd be sick, or I don't know, I'd be flying around the world as part of the Keith Explains summer tour, which used to be end of July. We moved it up a bit to get it closer to Lent, obviously. But anyway, so we finally managed, you know, we were finally, hey, Loretta's got nothing this weekend, I got nothing this weekend, let's go. And then we called our friend Barbara at like 10 o'clock at night and went, hey, do you want to go? And she wasn't there. I mean, she was there. She wasn't answering her phone, apparently. So we called her the next morning and said, hey, we're going to the Garlic Festival. And she's like, I've always wanted to go. And we're like, yeah, we know. You told us last year. When we were like, we should go to the Garlic Festival. And you're like, I always wanted to go. But we didn't go that year because we were busy. And so this year we're like, hey, we're going. And she's like, when is it? We're like, we're leaving in an hour. She's like, oh, well, okay. But we didn't leave for 2 hours. Because when at our house in the morning, when we're like, hey, we got to go. Let's leave in an hour. We never manage to leave in an hour. We always leave in like 2 hours. Like it always takes too long to shower and all the other stuff. And there's the suntan lotion applying, and there's the fan mail answering, and all the stuff that keeps me busy in the mornings. So we got out of here at like, and I was terrified because all I'd been hearing about is traffic. They're like, traffic going into that place is terrible. Like you'll spend like 4 hours in the road trying to get to Gilroy. And I'm like, why would anyone go to Gilroy? And then that occurred to me, that's why traffic is terrible. Since people don't go to Gilroy that often. They don't build big roads there. You know, the road that ordinarily goes to Gilroy is fine, except for one weekend a year when everyone decides to go. So if they split the Garlic Festival into a lot of smaller festivals and if people spaced, but people wouldn't do that. Like you couldn't split the festival into 4 smaller ones and get people to go. I guess it wouldn't work. So we get out of here like, I don't remember when. We pulled off 101 down in Gilroy at like 9:30. And the festival was supposed to open at 10 because there's no point to going before, you know, festivals don't need to open before 10 in the morning. Who would go that early? Like you go for lunch. Like you go for lunch and dinner because there's a lot of food at a garlic festival, as you'd imagine. Much of it garlic flavored for reasons that should seem crystal clear to each and every one of you. So we pulled off the road and then we were stuck in traffic for maybe 20, 25 minutes getting there, and we eventually parked on a field. A big, huge field next to whatever the park that the Gilroy Garlic Festival is in. Section W, as I recall. Because they had big buses that took us from where we parked down to the festival. And they're like, you're in Section W. And I'm like, great, because I got to write that down. Because I am not going to find my car when this thing is over unless I know what letter I'm in. I'm just going to be wandering around a cornfield or garlic field or whatever kind of field it was for hours looking for a green Accord, you know. Green Accords are a really rare car. So rare that, you know, you're like, oh no, they're all over the place. I mean, I once pulled up at a stoplight and looked to my left and realized the guy there had my car. And then I looked to the right and the guy there had my car. And I was like, this is freaky. It's like I've pulled up to 2 mirrors. Anyway, that aside, so we went there, and they've been doing this festival for like 25 years. So it's big. And now I say Garlic Festival, and you're like, what the heck is that? It's really one of these art and wine cheese festivals. It's like, you know, like they have them in downtowns all the time. And the downtown merchants love them. Like downtown Campbell has farmers markets. Farmers markets are the same thing, except they happen every week, and they have these farmers who bring in their produce. Except I have farmers in my family. Like farmers don't get Sunday off to drive into town and sell all their crap. No, that's middlemen. That's money-sucking middlemen in downtown that have bought stuff from farmers, you know, and claimed that they grew it themselves and stuff. But you can go to a farmer's market, you can like buy, you know, lettuce for like 80% of what lettuce costs in a supermarket. Or strawberries. Strawberries are good at farmer's markets. And cherries sometimes, lots of fruits. They have weird vegetables at farmer's markets I've never heard of. Anyway, Gilroy Garlic Festival is the same thing. Like, they have lots of booths, tiny booths, that, you know, people rent booth space and then they sell stuff. So pretty much like going to Gilroy Garlic festivals, we got there and people were like, hey, have this free stuff. And we're like, great, put it in the bag. And we put it in the bag. And then they're like, would you like a checking account? We're like, no, I have a checking account. How many checking accounts do you sign up at a Gilroy Garlic festival? But who knows? And then they're like, here's our tent of garlic-themed trinkets. Would you like to buy any? And I'm like, well, I should buy my brother a shot glass. And I look and it's like, shot glass is $10. I'm like, looks like the brother's not getting a shot glass. Because you don't pay $10 for a shot glass. I mean, they're tiny. They're 1 ounce, I think. I think a shot is an ounce. I mean, roughly an ounce, pretty much. And you're like, $10 for an ounce. I mean, that'd be like $20 for a decent-sized soda's worth of drinking. And I'm not going to pay, not $20, $200. $200 to drink, you know, a 20-ounce soda out of shot glasses. I'm not buying that many shot glasses. I mean, my brother displays shot glasses, so he's got these tiny little shelves along the downstairs of his house, and every place he goes, he buys a shot glass, and hopefully he doesn't pay $10 a time, because if he does, that shot glass shelf is worth a lot of money. And he doesn't, because I bought some of them for him, and they're like $2. Like $2 for a shot glass is reasonable, but $10 too much. And then we wander around these little booths, and everyone has, you know, a 10 by 10 booth, and everyone has the same little setup tent thingy, and I'm thinking the people that invented and patented that little 10 by 10 setup tent thingy, they're the ones whose ideas art festivals were. Because before they were like, I got this great idea for a product. It's a tent that's 10 by 10. It doesn't have any sides. And they're like, campers aren't going to buy that because mosquitoes will come in the sides and eat them alive. And you're like, man, who could I sell a tent with no sides to? If only there were a culture of people that assembled once weekly and did it only during the day so they weren't concerned about bugs and didn't want to have sides so that people would be able to freely hand money through them to us. And perhaps we could hand things through the sides back to the people for some reason. And if only such a culture of people existed. And then they went, we got a product for you. And then they invented the Art and Wine Festival with the long rows of 10 by 10 booths selling pictures of seals. Like, who goes to Art and Wine Festival, buy a big picture of a seal for like $400? Like, you know, a seal, like looking up, you're like, I don't know who does this, but there's this huge picture of, I mean, can you imagine carrying a picture of a seal around for the rest of the afternoon? Like, you know, hey, what did you get there? Oh, it's a seal. No, and they little things, like candles. There were a lot of candles there. I don't think you should sell candles at a festival in Gilroy. Because it wasn't that hot that day. It was only like, you know, 85, 90 degrees. But the weekend before, we had this huge heat wave. And it was like 4,000 degrees in most of California. I think Central Valley, it actually was 4,000 degrees. Because of that Al Gore movie talked about it. But I've talked before, we're closer to the sun now. And so it's 4,000 degrees in Central Valley some weekends in the summer. And we just got to get used to it. Because there's nothing we can do about it. We can't push further away from the sun because gravity's pulled us in. Gravity is not our friend, is the answer. So we're at the Gilroy. They had a lot of candles. Like, why would you bring a candle to a place going to be 4,000 degrees? You'd take home cups of candles. You know, just don't spill the candles. What else did they sell that I thought was great? They sell little metal sculptures and lots of rings and toe rings. Who wears toe rings? Why would you put a ring on your toe? Like finger rings make sense because your fingers are long, but toes are short. Like, what keeps a toe ring on? But they have booths where they sell toe rings. Again, I think toe rings are just like a way that the mafia or someone launders money. They're like, yeah, we got a whole bunch of money, we gotta launder it. Let's act like we're selling toe rings, and then we can declare a huge toe ring profit. You know, and we buy toe rings for no money at all, and then we claim to have sold, you know, 4,000 toe rings over the weekend, conveniently all in 20s. And so we take a whole bunch of 20s to the bank Monday morning, and the bank goes, where'd you get this money from? And then the guy with all the 20s goes, toe rings. And the bank guys go, oh yeah, okay, toe rings. IRS says you're allowed to sell toe rings. Perfectly legal to sell toe rings. I guess you made $74,000 selling toe rings. Okay, yeah, you're allowed to deposit in your checking account as long as you pay state sales tax on it. And the mob guy's like, this is great. You know, I pay 8.5% fake sales tax, and all my drug money is now laundered clean by the toe rings. Oh well, so that's what we did. We went to the Gilroy Garlic Festival, and then we ate. And as you're thinking, the stuff we ate had garlic in it. Not a lot of garlic. I mean, a moderate amount of garlic. They had, almost everything had garlic in it there. And we had garlic fries. Garlic fries are very good. They're fries with garlic on them. Like, I don't know who invented garlic fries, but it couldn't have been much of an invention. It was like, what if we took French fries and put garlic on them? And then someone else went, genius! What do we call them? And the first guy would go, fries with garlic? The second guy goes, too long, too long. We can't put fries with garlic on a sign. And if you see fries with garlic, you'll think, what if I want fries without garlic? Although in a garlic festival, you wouldn't say that. But or in real life, you'd be like, well, do you sell fries without garlic? And the fry guys would be like, no, that's 2 booths down. But just garlic fries, it sounds like it sounds like they have to be together. You know, you have to have garlic, you have to have fries. Garlic fries. Loretta had some seafood thing. I forget which, because I don't eat seafood, so I don't pay attention. If you're talking to me about seafood, it's just going in one ear, coming out the other. I'm like, okay, you're eating fish or squid or crab or I don't even know what kind of. See, she's yelling in this control booth what she ate, but I can't hear her. Buffalo. That's not seafood at all, is it? Oh, well. See, later in editing, I'm just going to have never mentioned seafood at all. That's just wait and see. Ha, ha, ha. Something else. We had a lot of food with garlic. It was okay. I mean, it was fine for an art and wine foodie festival. Like, it wasn't fabulous food. Like, I didn't drive home going, I wish they had this more often so I could go get more of the garlicky food. It was like, that was okay food. Don't know if we'll do it again. We might not. Unless the garlic festival people email me and like offer me a huge chunk of cash, in which case I'd be glad to endorse the garlic festival. I can be bought. I've said this for many, many years. I've said this in my job at Apple. I have a price. I let my manager know. It's $8 million. If they pay me $8 million, I'll take the blame for anything. Like back in the old days, I was like willing to go, hey, $8 million, I'll say Copeland was all my idea. Terrible idea, horrible idea, I don't know why we thought it. You know, that whole Mac OS 10, we used to call it Mac OS 10. Not Mac OS 10 we have now, but it was going to be called Mac OS 10. It was codenamed Copeland. It's like, all my idea. Give me $8 million, I'll go to the press, I'll take responsibility. So Gilroy Garlic people, I have a price, and it's less than $10 million, to tell you the truth. It's quite a bit less. Oh, yes, I forget. The weird food that they serve at the Gilroy Garlic Festival is they serve garlic ice cream. And apparently this started a couple years ago. Someone thought, well, we have garlic and everything else. Why don't we put garlic in the ice cream? And then everyone went, because garlic would taste terrible at ice cream, you moron. Like chocolate chips, lovely in ice cream. Strawberries, lovely in ice cream. Garlic, not so lovely. And the first guy went, I will be vindicated. And then he probably went bankrupt, because the first guy always goes bankrupt. But then someone else came along and bought, like probably warehouses full of garlic ice cream, and went, I bet we could sell this at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. And then they took it there, and they're like, you want to buy some garlic ice cream? And everyone's like, no. For God's sakes, no. We have no desire to buy garlic ice cream. So then the guy probably went, we'll give you a free sample. And then they went, here. And the people went, that's okay. That's okay for garlic ice cream. And then he went, would you like to buy more? And they're like, no. The free sample was exactly the right amount of garlic ice cream. Like, with regular ice cream, like if you get a big mound of like vanilla ice cream with maybe like little bits of chocolate chip cookie dough or something in it, and like you finish eating it, you're like, man, I wish that ice cream cone were a little bit bigger. Like I could go for a little more vanilla ice cream with chocolate chip cookies in it. Just, no matter how much you eat, you could always go for a little more. But garlic ice cream is not the same at all. Garlic ice cream, if they give you a small amount, you're like, that's good. But that was enough. That's all I need. I need no more of the garlic-flavored ice cream to whet my garlic ice cream appetite. So I'm surprised they don't sell more of it, but the reason they don't sell more of it is no one will pay for garlic ice cream. Like, you could go out in the street and ask 100 people, and 99 out of those 100 would say, no, I will not pay for garlic ice cream. And the last person would go, garlic ice cream? Are you crazy? Is this one of those TV shows where a guy's going to pop out of the mailbox at me now? Because he never heard of the garlic ice cream thing before, of course. See, so Gilroy Garlic Festival, they give away the garlic ice cream now. And why do they give it away? Because everyone will go. They'll go, would you like some free garlic ice cream? Yeah, I'll stand in line for free garlic ice cream. And you're like, great. Here's your free garlic ice cream. Now you have something to talk about. See, so I have something to talk about. If you go to the Gilroy Garlic Festival, and you should go, because it's worth going to once, at least once. Probably more if you really love garlic, or if you like garlicky food or if you love the booths. But if you go there, stand in line for the free garlic ice cream. And then when you get to the front, eat it and go, that's nowhere near as disgusting as I thought it would be. It's not really disgusting at all. It's strangely good. But not in the way that you'd pay any more, that you'd pay for or have more than they've given you. Other thing I'm going to talk about, NIMBY. Now NIMBY is, as some of you probably know, it stands for Not in My Backyard. That's what they teach you in school. It doesn't really stand for Not in My Backyard. NIMBY is named after Mr. NIMBY, the first guy that did it back in 1815. And then later they invented what the letter stood for because Mr. NIMBY, had a lawsuit and won for defamation of characters. NIMBY is like Not in My Backyard. It's when someone proposes something and then you go, that's a great idea. We should do more of that, just not next to me. And like the prototypical example of NIMBY is like they're trying to build a dump for all the nuclear waste we have in this country. And like everyone, is like, we got to build a dump for this nuclear waste. We got to put it somewhere because right now it's just sitting in water at nuclear power plants where, terrorists on tours can reach into the water and grab some nuclear material. It's very plausible that Al-Qaeda, if they bothered to take the 3-mile island tour, could have scooped out enough radioactive material to make a bomb in about 3 weekends. You just kind of reach down, you grab some of the green glowing stuff, you take it home with you, you put it in a lead bowl is probably best. But if you're not really concerned about living terribly long, you can keep it in Tupperware. Is a little known secret. Like everyone's like, we should have a secure nuclear waste dump where we can take nuclear waste and put it where it will be far away from people, it'll be safe, no one will find it, nothing bad will happen until the nuclear waste stops being bad. And I'm not going to go into the math here, but not being bad is like tens of thousands of years from now because of half-life and blah, blah, blah. So everyone says we should have one of these. No one wants one within 1,000 miles of themselves. Like they keep researching places to have them and they're like, we could build one in Upper Montana. And then all the people in Upper Montana go, no, you may not build one in Upper Montana, for God's sakes. We will not be able to live with a nuclear waste dump within 1,000 miles of us. Think of what it would do to the moose, the majestic northern Montana moose, which does not like radioactive material. It would be very bad for the northern Montana moose. And they're like, how about Florida? And they're like, no, Florida, no, bad for Florida. Florida has tourists, and tourists hate nuclear waste. But, and then the people in Florida are like, how about California? And then the Californians are like, oh, no, we have no actual impact whatsoever into presidential elections, but we still have a lot of representatives. There will be no nuclear power plant waste dump in California, thank you very much. And currently they're looking at Nevada. And like all the scientists go, Nevada. Most of Nevada is a wasteland. And the only part of Nevada that isn't a wasteland is the part where we're dumping water so you can gamble. And the only reason we dump water there is because you can gamble there. And the only reason you can gamble there is no one used to care about the deserted wasteland that was there, so they didn't bother to make it illegal to gamble. And then the gambling brought in money, and then the money brought in water, and then the water created Las Vegas. And now they don't want to build a nuclear waste dump in Nevada because it's too close to Las Vegas where all the gamblers go. I think it'd be great if you built a nuclear waste dump in Nevada because there's always the chance that the nuclear waste might cause superpowers in somebody. It would make them be like a super gambler. Like they can throw only sevens, or I don't know how to play craps, so I don't know what you throw, but I think sevens are good in craps. Like, if you could mentally control what the dice were going to be, well, first of all, they'd break your kneecaps, after about 20, 25 minutes in the casino. So your superpowers, I guess, would need to be controlled dice and kneecaps of steel. So if nuclear waste ever caused those two superpowers to emerge at roughly the same time, I think that most of the strip is in deep, deep trouble. What else? NIMBY stuff, like prisons. Prisons are great for NIMBYs. Like, no one wants a prison near them. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me at all because it seems to me prisons should be the safest place around. Like, if you were a criminal, why would you be a criminal right outside a prison? I would be a criminal far away from a prison. Right next to a prison, you're likely to be reminded what happens to criminals. And this might make you be a little less criminal. Like, I've never heard of a guy being murdered in front of a prison. I've heard of people being murdered in prisons, but I don't think, if there were a prison, down the street from me, the fact that people are being murdered in it every day wouldn't really affect my murder rate. I mean, if someone murdered me, it would be shorter to drive them. I mean, you ought to be able to just drop people. I found this guy in my backyard trying to break into my window, please, and just drive him down to the prison and drop him off. They fill a little ticket or something, and they just take him in direct. You dispense with that whole trial thing and everything. What else? So I know you're saying, Keith, why do you mention this? I mention this for a particular reason. A couple days ago, I got a little pink piece of paper in the mail that said, we would like to take the strip mall that's across the street from your house and tear down most of the strip mall and replace it with an 8-story high retail, commercial, residential complex, including 500 houses and 10,000 parking spaces. And here's a 100-page PDF you can download to describe how it's not going to affect you at all. And then I look at the PDF and they're like, well, we think this isn't really going to affect traffic much. We think it might add 4,000 trips a day to this street. And I'm like, I drive down that street every day. I don't want 4,000 other people driving down that street. Thank you very much. So now I'm conflicted because I'm like, NIMBY, bad. Like, I shouldn't be a NIMBY person. But maybe I want to be a NIMBY person. Like, maybe I don't want 4,000 people driving down my street every day to get to their 8-story high next to my 2-story high house. I should not have to strain my neck to look at buildings near me. There are precious few 8-story high buildings in Santa Clara. I don't think I should live next to them. Although retail might be nice. Like, if I could walk to a restaurant, that'd be cool. But maybe like 4 stories. Like 4 stories maybe I could do it. So I'm thinking, I got a bargain with people now. And then I'm like, well, what do I do? And I'm like, wait, I have so many political friends. I have lots of politicians who owe me. And by owe me and friends, I mean, I have some politicians I voted for, and therefore they owe me. People whom I've done fabulous favors for, and if I can remember who I voted for, I'd call them. So that's what I got to do. See, now I'm forced to respond to an environmental impact report of some kind, a 100-page PDF going, well, I think they're lying here about the fact that the 500 condominiums they're going to build are only going to need 500 parking spaces because they're going to hire people, they're going to only sell to people who hate to drive or who have lost their driver's license. Like Mel Gibson could get an apartment in this place because he's not going to have a driver's license. No driver's license, no car. Well, he'd have a driver, so that wouldn't count. Maybe we could get a condominium complex full of people who aren't legally old enough to drive. Just like it'd be full of, see, but if it's full of kids, then the neighborhood school's too full. There's really no good answer here at all, other than that, they shouldn't be building this thing near me. They should build it further down the street. Further down the street, I'm perfectly fine with, because, hey, if it's a quarter mile down the street, it's not going to bug me. It might bug those people, but I don't care about those people. They don't live, they aren't me, for example, is all I've got to say. And then, I think that's all the time I have for tonight. It's been lovely, everyone. And whatever, I hope you enjoyed the show. I mean, you didn't watch, but, you're tuning in now to catch whatever's on after me. And so, later. Okay, see, I didn't get to the tweet. I didn't get to the